Welcome to today's press conference. We will begin with head coach David Shaw. Coach Shaw, if you could begin with an opening statement.
Thank you. Welcome to everyone joining. On the injury side, Kendall Williamson, Patrick Fields, and Jake Hornibrook will be out. Caillou Kelly is questionable. We'll see how he gets a chance to move around next couple of days. As for the game, still hurts, still upset that we weren't able to give our seniors the opportunity to hold that axe. Can't say enough about the young men on our team, their effort, their preparation all week. Battling through all the things we've battled through, the number of guys that really pushed all week to make themselves available so they get cleared physically, medically to play, and honestly played, pretty well as we played in a while through three quarters. Credit to Cal for making some of the plays that we didn't make. But at the same time, we had opportunities, and obviously I would love, to take back a handful of play calls. But the bottom line is, they were able to win that game at the end. It's a tough spot right now, in that not preparing for a bowl game and coming off a difficult loss to our rival. Only thing we can focus on right now is trying to send our seniors out with a victory in their last game in Stanford Stadium. A lot of talk about a lot of things. That's going to be my focus. It's going to be our staff's focus, our team's focus. Obviously, a lot of things swirling around. A lot of great conversations with our administration, with our admissions team, led by our director of admissions, Rick Shaw, and looking at some things that we can adjust both now and going forward in this new world of college sports, in particular college football. And excited that we're putting together a process that we can actually partake in the transfer portal and finding a way to do it the Stanford way, but at the same time realizing that in order for us to compete the way that we need to compete in this era, we have to be able to utilize the portal. So that's great news. That's exciting news. There are different things that we can do recruiting wise. There are NIL meetings and opportunities that maybe weren't available in the past that we're looking towards being available to our students and student athletes, hopefully in the near future. Still working through that. As most places, there's a collective now working off campus. So for our student athletes to be able to look around and see some of the changes that are happening here, things that other people are doing now, we're able to do now in order to prepare ourselves to compete in the near future. So just want to throw those things out there. Those are very interesting and exciting changes for us. But at the same time, the focus that I have right now, the focus of our staff and our student athletes through this holiday week is to prepare our team to send our seniors out with a victory. So I'll take questions.
Please raise your hand with the Zoom raise hand function, and we'll take questions as they come in. Jay Drew from the Deseret News.
Hi, Coach. I cover BYU for the Deseret News. Wanted to ask you about just recruiting head-to-head with BYU. It seems like you guys sometimes go after the same kids, and you've kind of had the upper hand, so to speak, in getting some of those guys. How have you been able to do that, and why do you think the two schools recruit the same type of kids?
Well, for us, it's pretty straightforward. We're recruiting a certain type of young person. That's, of course, all of our sports. In particular, we're talking about football right now, but we're looking for high caliber individuals. We're looking for great students. We're looking for very good football players. And I've said this over the years that I think the state of Utah doesn't get its respect for the level of play that happens. It's not just in Salt Lake, it's around the state. You can find a lot of really good football players that have very good grades, and are the caliber of young people that we are looking for. So I know that's been a big thing for us, both in Utah and other states, but in particular Utah, and battling head to head with BYU, I think, who has a great program, got an outstanding head coach, know multiple people in their administration, including the athletic director. They do things the right way, with the right people, and that's the way that we see ourselves as well. So naturally, we're going to end up recruiting some of the same people. Just
as a follow-up, if I could, BYU puts a lot of emphasis on how they do against the Pac-12. Is that reciprocated? Is Pac-12 pride on the line, so to speak, Saturday? Or is that not a thing for you guys?
It's interesting when you're in a conference, right? You're proud that you're affiliated with the conference, and at the same time, you want to beat them all. So the connections are loose between us and our conference. So we don't put conference pride on the line for games. We don't want to win for the conference. We want to win for us. So that's been our approach. It's difficult because we're also supposed to root for our conference when they play people out of conference, and that's not necessarily always true either. So basically, we're loosely affiliated, but at the same time, all we're trying to do is win games for our team.
Thank you, Troy.
Yeah, two things if I can. Let me start here. Kind of along those lines, what's your sense of what this game means to Tanner?
Yeah, well, there are a lot of crossovers, and pretty much in most games that we play. And I know it's important to him to build on. I think he's played well in the pocket last week. We talked about building on that, playing even better this week. There are going to be familiar faces on both sides. There's backgrounds and history in between multiple guys on our team and some individuals, but then also the area, family members from different areas. So bottom line for us, bottom line for Tanner, is to build on the work that he's put in this year and finish on a high note.
Second thing, and you hinted at this in your part of your opening statement with the conversations you've had with university administration. What's your sense of how receptive university administration is to perhaps changing some things around and making it a bit more amenable for Stanford football to be able to compete on the level with the way things seem to be heading right now?
We are now, granted, we maybe haven't moved as fast as other athletic programs, other universities, and some of these new spaces. We are very deliberate. We want to do things the right way. We don't want to do things one year that have to change then the next year. So we're trying to make decisions on how we're going to operate now going forward. But I'm pleased and excited to be able to say that we are, in particular with the transfer portal and NIL, both on campus and off campus, being able to be competitive in those spaces is huge. That being competitive in those spaces helps you be competitive on the field. So I think those are all very positives. A lot of great conversations, a lot of recognition on administration part, on my part, that we have to change some things and shake some things up and maybe look at things differently in order to stay competitive.
Thank you. Dave Kiefer.
Yeah, hi, Coach. Kind of along those same lines, do you expect, like, say, an increased early enrollee program? I know you guys have had limited last couple of years. Would you expect something to be more expansive there based on your conversations with administration? And also, you mentioned about the transferring. Still, I would imagine that's still kind of a wait and see type thing, or would you expect kind of a number or something like that you might have permission to bring in? I'm just curious if you have any thoughts on that.
Well, and this is not just a Stanford issue. You ask any head coach in America right now, and the term roster management just I wouldn't say it scares us. It's an amoeba. It's this formless thing right now. You don't know how many you may lose to the portal. You know how many you can bring back from the portal. As far as the early enrollment, we haven't really said what that number would or could increase to. I just think recognition that that is an important part of recruiting. We went a decade without taking early enrollment and lost out on a lot of student athletes in the process, a lot of high caliber athletes, high caliber people, high caliber students. So realizing that a lot of the best students in the sport of football in high school are on track to early graduate, and recognizing that if we want to get as many of those as possible, we have to be able to have enough spots. So that's just one thing that we're going to continue to talk about going forward. Being able to operate in the portal, I think, is huge. Not just to, fill in where you maybe didn't get a recruit that you wanted coming out of high school, but just to be able to say, hey, there's someone that fits our program that, especially in our case, may be a really good student, that's a really good football player, and maybe fits perfectly on our team, that went someplace else for a year or two or however long, and is now back in the portal and is now a viable option for us. Those are positives. Those are things that I'm sure some people hearing this are excited and surprised maybe to hear, but that administration wise and admissions wise, that we understand this as part of the new world, and that we're open to participating in it.
Thank you. Ben?
I was just curious, have there been any discussions about specifically making more use of the California junior college system? Is that something that you guys have discussed at all? Because I know there's a lot of good community colleges in the state that do well academically and send guys on to other really top schools. Has that been a specific dimension of this that you guys have discussed at all?
We haven't discussed it as a program. We've been very aware of those. We just haven't had any viable ones lately. Over our long history here, I played with multiple junior college transfers here, and so it is a possibility. That world has changed a little bit. A lot of young people coming out of high school used to be, a lot of them went to junior colleges because they didn't have the grades to go. Now a lot of them they're going to junior college and they have grades. But at the same time, some of those now are going to other smaller level Division II, Division III, different levels. So, and a lot of junior colleges across the country have kind of folded. So it's a different world now, but we've always kept our eye on those, and the possibility that one or two per year may be viable options for us. So we haven't had those discussions administration wise, but as a football program, we always kind of keep an eye on those things in case one of those possibilities crops up for us.
Thank you. Troy?
Switching topics for a second here. From an individual standpoint, is there one person or maybe a collection of folks who have had the steadiest, if not best, season on the field for Stanford this year?
Oh, that's tough. Because in moments there have been multiple guys, multiple groups. At one point I thought our secondary was playing at a super high level before kind of the injuries started happening and rotating through. Honestly, first half of the season, as many of you know, our quarterback, when he was upright in the pocket, was as good as anybody in America statistically. And then we played a month of the season without his entire starting offensive line together. It's gotten healthier last couple of weeks, but I mean, really 4 games in the middle of the season where we didn't have our starters in there. I thought our running back position was extremely deep beginning of the season. Excited about EJ and Casey and the whole group. It was excited about the group and until those injuries started happening. So I think at different times our different positions. I think we're playing at a very high level in our receiving core, through different times during the course of the year. These guys have made big plays, highlight catches, including Ben Urosic, our tight end. So that this, I think, even on our edges, some of those guys have played great. But I think it's kind of been the story of our season. We've had individuals and groups play extremely well without the entire team playing well. When we've played well all at the same time, it's been great. It just hasn't happened as much as we would like.
Back to Ben.
Yeah, just kind of on you specifically, just talk about what your thoughts on their team and just what are going to be the keys to picking up a late Saturday night win against the Cougars.
Yeah, talented football team. They will take shots down the field on you now. These guys will throw it down the field, play action pass wise. They have some variance in their offense to try to keep you off balance. Defensively, every week they do something a little bit different, tweaking their front, going from a 4 down to a 3 down. Some games it's a lot of single high, some games it's a lot of 2 high. So there's a lot of variance in what they do defensively. So you have to get into the game and have an idea of how they're playing you and make some in-game adjustments. Because they're not just going to stand there. They move, they pinch, they twist, and they give you a variety of coverage looks. Good team, well-coached team, good players, good athletes, and we have to be at our best to find a way to send our seniors out with a win.
Thank you. We have time for 2 more questions. We'll start with Troy.
Beyond getting everything worked on outside of the building with NIL and with transfer portal and things like that, what is on your to-do list for this offseason for inside the building?
I'm not ready for that yet. I think even answering that question, I think would be disrespectful to our seniors for me to be worried about anything after Saturday. So focus is Saturday, to see those guys walk off that field for the last time with a win.
All right, Ben, take us out.
Yeah, I just thought of this. I take it the 8 p.m. kickoff you're not thrilled about. Just thoughts on one final. I think this is the latest kickoff of the year. Just thoughts on ending it on that kind of note. Thanksgiving weekend.
Well, I usually talk about our TV partners, and I do it in quotes because partners have discussions. Once our TV makes their picks, they slot us wherever they want, and I think it's been horrible. I don't know how many games, 5 games we've come back 3:30 in the morning, multiple home games now. We're walking out of the building at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. I think it's bad for our student athletes. I think it's bad for our conference. Just the fact that, Sundays now are, guys just sleep all day just to recover from either traveling late night or just playing late night. I think it's something that our conference needs to look at as we enter into conversations with potential other media partners for our next media deal, and changing these start times and playing games in the daytime and playing games in the early evening and not the late night. I don't think it's good for anybody. And I'm not, granted, I'm not in those seats. I'm not concerned with the ratings. I'm concerned about the people that I coach and what it does to them and what it does to their families for travel. I think it's horrible. So I know our commissioner's in talks with entities on how to move going forward. And I think everything I said would be seconded by everybody else in our conference. We've had other conferences that maybe don't have their local airport closes at night, so they have to fly someplace else and drive. When we play late nights, other places, we can't fly into the closer airport. San Jose, we have to fly into San Francisco. So landing in San Francisco at 3 o'clock in the morning, and then taking that 40-minute ride in. Like I said, other coaches in our conference will be right in step with me, and I'm curious to see how our negotiations go to hopefully make this better going forward for all of our student athletes.
Thank you so much, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, we are here with Bryson Tremaine. We'll take questions.
How you doing? Is the sound on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dave, you're up first.
Yeah, hey Bryson, how are you? Hey, just just your thoughts on I assume this is your final season. I'm not sure if the COVID year factors into it. But do you feel like you've been able to do all the things that you've wanted to do, even with the injury or in your comeback from the injury?
Yeah, I feel like if you take a look at like where I started and as a walk-on coming here, I've done like more than I would have thought at first coming in here. So obviously this season, I definitely wish we could have, accomplished more, but I'm proud of the guys, and one last time to finish it strong on Saturday.
Steve?
Yeah, Bryson, from the outside, it would look like this week would be a tough week to get motivated. You guys lost a big game. I'm sure there aren't a lot of people around campus. You're playing 8 o'clock against a non-conference team. How do you guys stay motivated this week to try to get a win Saturday night?
Yeah, I think just kind of echoing what some of the coaches said, it's a one-game season at this point. We're not looking at the past 11 games that we've played. It's just a one-game season, and just, finish this season on a strong note and send off the guys going into the off season with a good taste in their, or a better taste in their mouth, and try to get them motivated to train hard and get better for next season.
Great, thank you.
To Ben, please.
Yeah, hey Bryson. I just want to get your thoughts on, from what you've seen, what you know about the Cougars, their defense, and just what's going to be the key to the passing game, your guys' passing game being successful against them on Saturday night.
Yeah, I think what we've seen so far when looking at them, they adjust a ton based off who they're playing. Whether they're going to be a 1-high team that game or a 2-high team. They throw in some cloud quarters, cover 3, all of that. So I think just going in with some of our base stuff, kind of feeling it out, and then making adjustments along the way, and taking some shots at them, and putting a lot of points on the board. Is what I definitely hope to do this Saturday.
Troy?
Yeah, Bryson, this isn't necessarily my favorite question to ask, but this is the week, and I'm genuinely curious, given what you've been through over the past year plus or so, what are you thankful for as we hit this Thanksgiving week?
Yeah. I'm thankful for my teammates. Definitely my teammates. They, every time I walk into the facilities, they, they put a smile on my face, and I'm thankful for them. The coaches, Coach BK, Coach Shaw, all the coaches really, Tavita, Alamar. They always take care of us. So just thankful for, the Stanford family and my family back home too.
Back to Dave.
Yeah, Bryson, I remember you talking about when Mike Wilson was hurt before, how he'd really been still a big part of, you guys, motivating you guys, helping you guys out. How has he been, in this latest kind of battle he's had with injuries, and just as far as being a teammate and a friend, during all this? Has he still been as engaged as he has been in the past?
Yeah, Mike is my guy, and he, he's been through so much with all of his injuries here. And he's still showing up to meetings, still showing up to the lifts, still putting the work in and the rehab in, and people see that dedication, and it just, people feed off of it still. So yeah, Mike is still Mike.
Thank you, Ben.
Yeah, I was going to get your thoughts too, just on what's going to be the key for you guys to, doing better kind of fourth quarter. That's been kind of a bit of a struggle for you guys. Was a struggle against Cal, struggle against Utah. Just what needs to improve for you guys to have a stronger fourth quarter, do you think, this time?
Yeah, I think just executing and people making plays. Like, I had a few balls starting me in the fourth quarter that I wish I would have, caught. So I don't think effort is necessarily the problem. It's just really just executing, because people are going hard. So it's just executing on the stuff we know how to do.
Any other questions for Brycen? Oh, all you, Troy.
What's been the rest of the offense's reaction to what Mitch Lieber has done? He had a terrific game overall against Cal, especially given what's been force feed just to get to this point. What's been the rest of the offense's reaction? And I imagine there's a lot of appreciation there for what Mitch has done, especially over the last couple of weeks.
Oh yeah, there's so much appreciation for what Mitch has done for us, switching positions midseason. And I know he played some running back in high school, but he goes hard every time he gets the ball. And that pass he caught one-handed in the first quarter, I think I was running a shallow cross and I seen the ball float, and I was like, oh, like it might be out of bounds. And I saw Mitch go up one-handed, and I almost jumped up, out of my route when I saw that happen. And Mitch has impressed us in so many ways, and we're very thankful for what Mitch has done for our offense.
Last call for Brycen. All right, thank you, Brycen.
All right, thank you guys. Thank you for your time.
All right, we will wrap up today with Ricky Miezan, and we will take questions. Ben?
Hey, Ricky. Just want to get your thoughts on the BYU offense. What you've seen from those guys, and what's going to be the key to containing the Cougars on Saturday night.
Yeah. So they have a lot of offense in general. And I think one of the biggest things we got to stop is just, we have to make sure we're really good on like our motion adjustments, like jet motion. They do a lot of jet motion. So just making sure we're clean on that. It's going to be a lot of execution. If we can, get our right motions in, get our right adjustments in, like we can stop it. So that's going to be a big key for us.
Troy?
Yeah, Ricky, your unconventional road to this point has been pretty well documented throughout your career at Stanford. How do you look back at it all over the past few years?
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously been a lot of reflection this week, just it being, my last with Stanford football. And if you would have told me 5 years ago that this is where I'd be, I would have told you you're lying, just to go through the amount of injuries, come back, make my first start, become a team captain. Like it's honestly, I didn't, I kind of pinch myself some days. Like this was a dream come true. So it's just been a real, an unreal journey. And, I'm sad that it's, come to its last week.
Dave?
Yeah, Troy kind of sort of took away my question, but yeah, I was just going to ask you about senior day or senior night. Obviously, this is you guys are going to be recognized. So I know you definitely probably have a little bit of time of reflection and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I was just kind of curious about your thoughts, but if there's anything additional, the way you just
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I'll miss about this team is just the guys. Like we've a couple of us have just been talking and we're like, this is, we looked around and we're like, this is really the last time some of us could see each other for an unknown amount of time. Like that was, a real realization some of us have had, just at dinner, like talking, we're like, I really don't know the next time I'm going to see some of you guys because we're all going to be doing our own thing. So, I'm just, grateful and appreciative of all the guys on this team. There's a lot of love here. And, this last week, we really just want to go out there and play for each other. Like, that's what it's all about. We're going to play hard for each other because this is the last time a lot of us are going to be playing together. So that's kind of been, a lot of our reflections over this last week.
Jay?
Hey, Ricky, I cover BYU for a newspaper in Salt Lake City. I'm doing something on one of your teammates, Scotty Edwards, who's from Salt Lake.
Yeah.
What comes to mind when I bring up his name and maybe what has he contributed this year to you guys?
Yeah. I remember there was 1 week of practice where Scotty was all over the practice tape on scout team for special teams, and he was killing it, and earned himself a starting role on like our Sharks team. And then you look at the Utah game, and AK goes out with a targeting call, and Scotty jumps right in and makes a key tackle to stop a touchdown. So he's honestly been a lot. I think he's kind of what you want to be when you look at a freshman who's trying to get on the field. Like, Scotty did it the right way. He worked his tail off on special teams and has now played himself onto the field. And has just been, someone who's ready to go when his name is called. So that's, he's been, it's been impressive to kind of watch his rise over the course of the year.
Has he or McKee or any other guys with LDS church ties or Utah ties mentioned how important this game is to them personally this week?
Yeah. I mean, even someone in my room, Levani, has a ton of ties to, the BYU team. And I bet he probably has like 50 or 60 tickets for this game. He's trying to go around and get a bunch of tickets because he has so much family coming. So and even the Utah game too, that was a similar situation. A lot of those guys have a lot of connections to those teams. So it's, it's a little more personal for them. And you can see it by the amount of tickets they're asking for it because they got a ton of family coming.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ben?
Just talk about what's it going to be like facing up against Houston Hamley on Saturday. And I also know that he came out to support you guys at the Utah game. I saw him there afterwards. So just talk about your relationship with him and what it's going to be like facing off against him for the first time.
Yeah, that'll be it won't be for the first time. Me and Houston have we've met a couple times in the A gap during practice, so it won't be the first time we've met. But no, me and Houston used to joke around about it all the time when they would put in their like lead plays. It was like, oh, here we go. Here's our day, because we, our job when we, have a lead blocker coming at us to go hit it as hard as we can and hit it in the backfield. So that's literally what me and Houston have done for the past 4 years, have gone against each other. So it'll be fun to finally do it live and in a game.
Back to Jay.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't take my hand down. I don't have any further questions.
Dave?
Yeah, Ricky, I know that, obviously the season's been difficult in a lot of ways, but is there anything, I would say, positive or something that you feel like there's some kind of a legacy that this team can pass along to the next team that you feel is important?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is just fighting in the face of adversity. Like, that's what this team does. If you turn on the tape from the last couple of plays in the Cal game, like there was probably what, a 0.5 chance of us winning that game, but it didn't matter. And if you look at that last play, or their last touchdown, that ball looked like it popped out. And we recovered it. Like, that's just, this team just plays hard no matter what the situation, no matter what no matter what, if their back's against the wall, no matter what, no matter what our record is, we're going to play hard. And I hope we've instilled that upon, the younger guys so they can carry that on as they go. Because that's the biggest thing for us is when you go out there, you're giving it everything and just playing hard.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Ricky.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
That is the end